get started, let's measure 2 cups of warm water. So we need lukewarm water. So if it's not lukewarm water, make sure you dilute it until it's lukewarm, because the yeast works well under lukewarm water. If it is hot, it means that our yeast is going to be killed because of the conditions. So I'm going to add 3 tablespoons of white sugar for the yeast to work on, because the yeast digests sugar. That's how we see if the yeast is working. So it shows by proofing. So I'm gonna stir the sugar so that it is well incorporated into the water. I always keep my yeast tightly in a container, tightly sealed in a container, and I always keep it in the fridge to avoid any air in it, to keep it under good conditions. I really want my yeast to proof. So if air always get into this lunch box, it means my yeast is not gonna work well. So I'm gonna set this yeast aside right now. Let's mix our yeast and sugar so that the yeast can digest the sugar, and then we see if the yeast proofs very well, and start mixing and measuring our dry ingredients. So we have our mega self-raising wheat flour. My husband bought this. So if you haven't watched the grocery haul that my husband did, you need to watch that one. That's where he introduced us to this flour. So we are going to use this one and see how it can work. Like I haven't been using this flour for making bread, so let's see how good it is. So I measured 6 cups and half tablespoon of salt, half cup of sugar. So why 6 cups of flour? It's because 2 cups are enough to make 1 loaf. So I need to make 3 different types of bread for different days. So that's why I've added 3 cups. So that's why I added 6 cups. So finally, after a few minutes, our yeast is finally proofed. So our yeast is still working well because it has acted upon the sugar. Then our dry ingredients are well incorporated. So let's add our wet mixture into the dry mixture, and we really need eggs to give a structure to the dough. Remember, this dough, you can make even doughnuts. You can make croissants with this one. So it's a all-purpose dough. That's very good. So I've added half cup of vegetable oil for moisture. So eggs and oil works together to add structure and and moisture to the bread. That's why we love it. So if you don't want to use eggs, you can substitute this recipe with 2 bananas, small ones that are mashed. So you can remove 2 eggs, you can add 2 bananas that are mashed. So I'm doing that for those who don't use eggs or who don't like eggs. Bananas can also work wonders. So let's mix, and we are going to a war today with this flour, because look how it is sticking to my hands. So we are going to find options until we make it work with this certain type of flour. Since it is not plain flour, it's going to stick a lot. So I'm going to show you how I handle this struggle. I usually wash my hands here and there and try to oil my hands or dust them with flour until we win the game. So yeah, that's what we always do with this certain type of flour or the situation of sticking. I really want you to comment how you handle sticking dough, how you handle this kind of situation when baking. It's always a struggle when it comes to sticking dough. So remember, we really want to end up with a non-stick dough, and with this self-raising flour, if it was all purpose, it's gonna be just a walk over, but since it is self-raising, yeah, so we are adding buttercup margarine, 2 tablespoons, leveled ones. So I'm eyeballing, like I'm measuring with my eyes, because I know like how a tablespoon can handle. So the reason why I'm adding butter to my dough is for flavor, extra moisture and flakiness the butter brings to the dough. But to incorporate the butter into the dough is really another roller coaster, because the butter brings about dismantling all the work of the dough. So you really need to work on the dough really hard. That's where we need muscles and mixing very well, but I always find a solution when it comes to this type of sticking flour. I went on to grab my cake scraper. If you don't have a cake scraper, you can use a knife, you can use anything that you can, maybe a plate, a small one, yeah. And remember to oil it so that you can work well on the dough, because what we need is a dough that is not sticking. When dusting the dough, remember to keep it light, so at the end we always win with the dough. So we're going to keep this aside and wait for an hour.
Hey, how do you always struggle with your dough too? So anyway, let's wait for an hour, and we're going to make 3 types of bread that I love. So yeah, see you later, guys.
Finally, our yeast did it. After an hour, some minutes, maybe 20 to 25 there. So remember, it depends with the conditions to which you keep your bowl. Remember to keep it in the kitchen or in the oven where the temperatures are good. So we are going to shape our bread into our desirable bread types. But before, we need to make 3 different equal sizable balls, so that we can have the same amount of bread on each type. So these are the 3 different balls that are going to make our bread for 3 good days. And remember, you can make anything. If you haven't subscribed as of now, subscribe so that we can make more and more bread. So the first dough, we are going to roll it flat onto this board, and then we are going to make our favorite caterpillar bread. It's very funny, my kids love this. So we are going to have this on Monday, the other one on Tuesday, the other one then on Wednesday, Thursday and Friday. We always have 1 pound meal, so it's all covered. Then what you're going to do, we are going to slice the dough into pieces so that we can roll again and make some heaped pieces. So let's go. So remember, you don't need to be perfect on this. Just know what you're doing. As long as our bread is good. So we are going to wait for another 30 to 45 minutes before we bake. Then on another one, I'm gonna make a loaf, but on a different design today. So I've decided to make some loaf buns, as you can see. So yeah, everything is gonna look beautiful and cute and delicious. So on this one, I'm gonna make cinnamon rolls. So for that, since our bread is sweet already, I'm going to use 1 teaspoon of cinnamon and my ginger infused honey, yeah, to sweeten the cinnamon. So I'm gonna spread a whole cinnamon paste onto our dough and make sure we have this flavor incorporated into the dough. Then we're going to roll it and then we cut to make round shaped cinnamon rolls. Once it's done, we really need 10 pieces. So yeah, I'm going to start by brushing with egg white. So this is just 1 egg that I'm using to brush. So we need to preheat the oven. Today we are using bottom and top element at 200 degrees Celsius. So after 3 to 4 minutes of our oven preheating, we need to place our baking tins in, and everything will start to kick. Baking our bread is very easy, and yeah, everything is going well. Baking, you only need 10 to 15 minutes. Then after that, while my bread is still hot, I've started to brush my butter on, but you can melt the butter first, but I chose to do it just like that since my bread is still hot. I thought the butter is gonna melt on the bread. So this bread is very soft, sweet and lovely and so good. So let's see how it looks from the inside. Look how fluffy. Wow, this is amazing. You can try it and let me know. And if you haven't commented, please do comment. This is how it looks, and these are the cinnamon rolls, so light and fluffy, and everybody's attention has been drawn by this cinnamon rolls, and they want to grab it. Everybody wants it. And yeah, this is all I wanted to show you, and thank you guys. Please do subscribe.